It's not big news anymore, but for those unaware, here's a little heads up. The beloved sword and sorcery legend Conan the Barbarian has made a huge comeback in 2023, with a new ongoing series written by Jim Zub, with art by Rob de la Torre and colors by Jose Villarrubia. The series is at its 6th issue at the moment, with the 7th installment just lurking around the corner. It's a good time to look back at the first 4 issues, which concluded the initial story arc, Bound in Black Stone. A story arc that received so much praise and approval by both fans and critics. One has to ask, is the hype real, or just blown out of proportion? But one quick word before I answer that question. If you're enjoying the content so far, don't forget to support our channel. Do it as our favorite Sumerian would do. Crush that subscribe button, see bad content driven before you, and hear the lamentations of YouTubers who don't like Conan. And don't forget to ring those bells of hell for more Conan and Robert E. Howard content. Okay dogs, now back to Hyboria. The furry boots to step in were certainly big. Apart from the man himself, Robert E. Howard, who is undoubtedly the unmatched mastermind behind the character, there were multiple other authors and artists who left their mark on the Conan franchise. Frank Frazetta and John Buscema come to mind, as do DeCamp, Lynn Carter, John Milius, or Robert Jordan. Quite an impressive roster of gentlemen, if you ask me. So, did the new author of the title, Jim Zub, succeed in his claimed goal to do Conan justice after the neglect he received at Marvel? Before we jump to any conclusions regarding the quality, let's look at the man himself. The Titan run isn't Zub's first time writing for the character, as he previously penned 13 issues of Marvel's Conan comic in 2019. Unfortunately, the pandemic caused a 7-month hiatus between the first issue and the rest of his run, leading to some loss of momentum and ultimately ending Zub's long-term plans for the Marvel series. But despite the criticism Marvel received due to their lackluster treatment of the character, readers shared the sentiment of Jim Zub's issues being among the best in said run. A hard-earned and surely justified reputation that led Zub to where he is now, leading the current Conan run from heroic legend and Titan comics, equipped with much more creative freedom and with a big roster of talents to support his gritty vision. But it's not just the superb storytelling of Zub that is taking the Titan run up a notch. While Zub clearly is channeling Roy Thomas and Robert E. Howard and is not afraid to be a bit camp in his writing work, it's really the artwork full of blood, guts, and gore that carries the first 4 issues over the finishing line. Drawn by Rob de la Torre, the artwork is deeply rooted in the beloved and somewhat nostalgic Conan artwork of the 60s and 70s, reminiscent of the likes of John Buscema and Frank Frazetta, but with its own spin. The archaic style shines through every page and panel, bringing Howard's Hyboria to a vivid and savage life. To say, de la Torre is a real fan-pleaser, giving the crowd exactly what they want. The nostalgic feel and aesthetic of the 70s comic, but with some modern tweaks. So it comes as no surprise that de la Torre was universally praised for his rendition of Conan and the Hyborian Age. So much so, that I was a bit worried about the follow-up artist, Doug Braithwaite, being rejected by the somewhat hardcore old-school fanbase of the Conan franchise. Worries unjustified as I know now. And besides a few dogmatic individuals who accept nothing in their Conan but strict Buscema worshipping, the praise for Braithwaite's interpretation and portrayal of the Savage was just as great as the one for de la Torre. Where de la Torre's style is more flowing and ethereal, Braithwaite gives Conan a more naturalistic and detailed look, which is a nice contrast to the first run. So back to the current art. De la Torre's illustrations are dark, moody, grim, and atmospheric, as are the colors provided by Jose Villarrubia and Dean White, which truly elevate these books. It comes as no surprise, but I wasn't a big fan of Marvel's more bright and cartoonish approach to the character, and I never thought I would be impressed by Conan's work more than I was with Cary Nord's Dark Horse runs back in the early 2000s. However, this team is creating compelling and often breathtaking visuals that can both rival the beloved classics from the past and the newer renditions by Dark Horse, Ablaze, and Marvel. So, does the story hold up to the style of the artwork? Let's take a look at the first 4 issues now and examine the ongoing story in there. But be warned, some mild spoilers will be mentioned. Conan the Barbarian #1, titled Scourge of the Dead, begins in northern Aquilonia at a small outpost called Haller's Rome. Conan has recently arrived in this area, which is the closest he has been to his homeland of Cimmeria in 8 years. However, before he can find the rest and solitude he seeks, he must first free himself from the Bleeders, a group of mercenaries he has been associated with. Weary from his travels, Conan's plans for peace are disrupted when a mysterious scout named Brissa arrives at Haller's Rome with a dire warning about an impending threat from the Pictish wilderness. As Conan and Brissa join forces to confront this new horde of invaders, they must rely on their wits and combat skills to defend against the imminent danger. In short time, they become allies. In issue number 2, titled Homeland, the story opens with Conan and Brissa observing how Haller's Rome is ravaged by the Army of the Lost. This group of undead Picts, also known as the Tribe of the Lost, unleashes otherworldly devastation, leaving destruction in its wake. As they witness this horrifying spectacle, Conan and Brissa realize that Cimmeria, Conan's homeland, is the next target. Determined to protect his homeland, Conan vows to confront the Army of the Lost and exact brutal vengeance for the destruction they have wrought. However, as they prepare to face this supernatural threat, Conan and Brissa soon discover that there is a deeper, ancient darkness behind this army that they may not be fully prepared to confront. After witnessing a horrifying transformation of his own people into undead creatures further up north, Conan and Brissa continue their journey into issue 3. Coming across a black stone citadel where they believe to find the source of the mysterious affliction that has been turning Picts and Cimmerians into the walking dead, they follow the trail into the perilous depths. As they venture deeper into the dungeons, they begin to track a pair of cloaked figures, leading them to a group of prisoners who have not yet succumbed to the same fate as the undead Cimmerian warriors. Conan and Brissa devise a plan to rescue these captives from their impending doom and lead them against the dark cult responsible for the forbidden magic, which leads to the final issue number 4, called Vengeance of the Lost. Here, the story unfolds within the foreboding citadel of Black Stone. Inside this ominous fortress, Conan descends into the dark abyss beneath a black altar, determined to uncover the secrets of the enigmatic band of undead Picts. In his quest for victory against this foe, Conan seeks spiritual guidance from Brule, an ancient Pictish chieftain and associate to fabled King Cool of Atlantis. As he encounters this legendary figure, Conan grapples with uncertainty. Will Brule be a spectral apparition leading him to doom? Or will he offer salvation and guide Conan toward triumph over the Tribe of the Lost? As I mentioned before, Titan Comics and Heroic Signature's revival of the Conan the Barbarian comic book series is notably grittier than Marvel Comics' 2019 revival. Jim Zub has channeled the raw, action-packed storytelling of Roy Thomas, delivering a dark and mysterious conclusion to this initial story arc that offers escapism rather than a clear victory for Conan. For fans of Conan or comic books in general, I strongly recommend trying out Titan Comics' Conan the Barbarian series. It offers a fresh and captivating take on the iconic character that shouldn't be missed. Overall, the first run has received acclaim for its compelling storytelling that captures the essence of Robert E. Howard's original creation while offering fresh perspectives on Conan's enduring legacy. The first 4 issues have been praised for their faithful portrayal of the iconic character and their ability to immerse readers in a thrilling and immersive narrative filled with danger and suspense. The hype is true. I give 10 out of 10 crushed skulls.